In 2032, just 6 years from right now, Social Security is legally required to automatically cut every benefit check in America by 24%. Not if things go wrong, not if Congress makes a mistake. Automatically, by law. And two things just happened in the last few months that moved that deadline closer and made the cut deeper. If you are retired, if you are planning to retire, or if you are paying into Social Security right now and counting on it later, the next few minutes are going to change how you think about your retirement. Let me tell you about someone I want you to picture. Her name is Margaret. She is 64 years old and she spent 32 years working as a school librarian in Columbus, Ohio. She paid into Social Security every single paycheck for those 32 years, without fail. She is planning to retire next year at 65. She has done everything right. She saved what she could in her 403(b) account, she paid down her mortgage, and she built her retirement budget around a Social Security benefit of $1,976 per month. That is her number. That is the foundation of her plan. Her groceries, her medication, her utilities, her life. A 24% cut turns Margaret's $1,976 into $1,502. That is $474 gone every single month. $5,688 per year, vanished from a fixed income she spent 3 decades building. And here's what makes this feel unfair to me when I look at it. Margaret is not someone who made bad financial decisions. She is someone who trusted the system and did everything she was told. And the system is quietly moving in a direction that is going to hurt her, whether she knows about it or not. Before I go further, this is not financial advice. Everything I share on this channel is for educational purposes only. Please speak with a licensed financial advisor before making any decisions about your retirement. I am here to give you the information so you can ask the right questions and make smarter choices. Here are the two things that are squeezing Social Security right now. And when you hear the second one, I think you are going to be genuinely angry. Social Security is being squeezed from two directions at the same time, and both of them are pushing toward the same cliff. Let me take them one at a time. The first direction is the one that has been building for decades. The trust fund is running out of money because more people are taking out than are paying in. Here is how Social Security actually works in plain English. Every paycheck you earn, 6.2% goes to Social Security. Your employer matches that. That money goes into a trust fund. The trust fund pays current retirees. For most of Social Security's history, more money was coming in than going out, and the excess built up into reserves. Those reserves are the safety net that covers the gap when payroll taxes alone are not enough. The problem is the math changed. In 1945, there were 42 workers paying into Social Security for every one person collecting benefits. Today, that number is 2.8. 2.8 workers for every retiree. Let me say that again, 2.8. That ratio has been falling for decades as baby boomers retired and birth rates slowed. And right now, 10,000 baby boomers are turning 65 every single day. Every single day. That means 10,000 new people joining the benefit rolls every 24 hours, while the worker base supporting the system grows much more slowly. The result is that Social Security has been paying out more than it collects in payroll taxes every year since 2021. It has been dipping into those reserves to cover the gap. And the Congressional Budget Office, which is the nonpartisan government agency that does the math on these things, now projects that the reserve runs out completely in 2032. When it does, Social Security can only pay out what it collects from payroll taxes in real time. No borrowing, no printing money, no emergency fund. Just what comes in from workers that week. And what comes in covers only about 77% of what is owed. That 23 to 24% gap becomes an automatic cut the moment the reserve hits zero. Right now, I want you to open a new tab and go to ssa.gov. Log in with your Social Security account. If you do not have one, create one. It takes 5 minutes. Once you are in, pull up your Social Security statement and find your projected monthly benefit. Write that number down. Then multiply it by 0.76. That lower number is your 2032 planning scenario if Congress does nothing. You need to know both numbers. Most Americans only know the first one. Now here is the second direction, and this one happened recently and most people missed it entirely. Stay with me because this one is going to make you frustrated. The second direction squeezing Social Security is a law that Congress just passed, and it quietly made the crisis worse while most Americans were not paying attention. The Congressional Budget Office moved the trust fund depletion date from 2033 to 2032, 1 full year closer. And one of the reasons is a bill called the One Big Beautiful Bill. Here's what happened. The bill created a new $6,000 standard deduction for seniors 65 and older. That sounds like a good thing. And for some seniors in the short term, it is. It lowers the amount of their Social Security benefit that gets taxed. But here's the trade-off that the headlines buried. Social Security receives a significant portion of its revenue from taxes that beneficiaries pay on their benefits. When you lower those taxes, less money flows back into the trust fund. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, a nonpartisan budget watchdog, calculated that this bill moved the depletion date from early 2033 to late 2032, 1 year closer, because of a deliberate legislative decision. Think about what that actually means. Congress passed a law that gave some seniors a short-term tax break while making the long-term funding problem worse. The $6,000 deduction expires in 2028. The damage to the trust fund timeline does not expire. The deadline is now 2032, and Congress has no concrete plan on the floor of either chamber that would fully close the funding gap before that date. Here is the number that puts the full weight of this into perspective. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget calculated that a typical dual-earning couple who retires right at the time of insolvency would face $18,100 less in annual benefits. $18,100 per year. That is not an abstract policy number. That is the difference between affording health care and rationing medication. That is the difference between staying in your home and having to leave it. Now here is my honest take on all of this. When I look at what is happening to Social Security, the part that concerns me most is not the math. The math has been known for years. What concerns me is the gap between what Americans believe about Social Security and what the law actually guarantees. Most people believe they paid in so they will get their full benefit. That is not what the law says. The law says Social Security pays out what it collects. Those are two very different things. And the difference between them right now is 24% of your retirement income starting in 2032. Here is the deeper insight most people miss. Social Security is not just a government program. It is an intergenerational agreement. Workers support retirees. Future workers support future retirees. And that structure only works smoothly when demographic balance remains stable. When balance shifts, systems do not collapse instantly. They adjust slowly, quietly, and often later than expected. That is why these transitions feel invisible for years, right until they suddenly become personal. So what should people actually do with this information? First, go to ssa.gov right now and pull up your projected benefit. Then calculate what 24% less looks like. That adjusted number is your honest retirement planning figure until Congress fixes this. Know it. Plan around it. Second, if you are between 45 and 65, have a serious conversation with a licensed financial advisor about your retirement income mix. Social Security was never designed to be your only retirement income source. Diversification matters more now than ever. Ask them, what does my retirement look like if Social Security is reduced? And third, stop assuming that delay means safety. Financial systems often appear stable right until the moment adjustment becomes unavoidable. Maximize your 401k or IRA contributions right now. Every dollar has 6 years to grow before 2032. Fourth, if you are 62 or older and thinking about when to claim Social Security, the 2032 timeline changes your calculation. Claiming early at 62 locks in a permanently reduced benefit, and then a 24% cut on top of that is a compounding problem. Talk to an advisor. Fifth, go to congress.gov and contact your senators and representative. Tell them you know about 2032 and you want a concrete plan before the deadline. This sounds small. It is not. Social Security has been fixed before because voters made it impossible to ignore. The same pressure is needed now. The people who understand what is coming and adjust their plan today will be in a completely different position than the people who assumed Congress would figure it out. That is not an opinion. That is what happens every single time a known financial deadline approaches without a plan. Now think about Robert one final time. Because Robert represents millions of people who worked for decades believing stability would continue indefinitely. And maybe reforms arrive in time. Maybe adjustments happen gradually. Maybe the final outcome looks different from current projections. But the people who prepare early will always be in a stronger position than the people who assume someone else will solve the problem for them. That has been true in every major financial transition in history, and it will likely remain true in this one too. Social Security is not disappearing. It is transforming under demographic pressure that has been building for decades. And the biggest risk is not sudden collapse. It is slow structural change that becomes visible too late. Because in every financial system, the people who recognize change early keep flexibility, and the people who ignore it usually lose it. If you found this breakdown valuable, subscribe for more long-form financial analysis explaining the economic trends quietly reshaping the future. And remember, knowledge is your greatest asset. In my next video, I am covering the Federal Reserve's latest decision on interest rates and exactly what it means for your mortgage, your credit card, and your savings account in 2026. I post every single week. I will see you there.